Hello, everybody. It is me, Demetra K, and I hope you're having a great day. I am sitting here with Donovan, the recovering Democrat Sadiq, also known as the Black Yule Brenner. I should say that the purpose of the Demetra K show is to promote Black love, knowledge, and understanding of all things that go on in the Black community to make us an even better people, with the emphasis on even, because we're great people, but we can always strive to do better. Like I said, big giant thank you, hello, and welcome to YouTube and Facebook. You are the other side of the conversation. Today, we're going to be talking about former Vice President Kamala Harris. In my title, I said Kamala snitched on the Democrats when talking about demanding something for your vote. I listened to her whole conversation with Reverend Al as I've been kind of combing through some of the things that have been going on at the National Action Network annual convention. It is their 35th year in being in existence, and they had their convention in New York City. So we'll get into all of that in just a few. And did I say thank you to my moderators for everything that you do? If I did not, forgive me for that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You are so much appreciated. Really quick, I just want to remind y'all that there's a lot of things going on, but specifically I want to highlight the ADNC Narrative Power Summit in Toronto, Canada. If you are in that neck of the woods on July 25th, please get a ticket and come out and see us, where we're going to have a great conversation. Myself, Sister Emma, Brother Phil, Brother Kellen, Dr. Vibes, just a whole host of people, right? It's going to be a great time, my first time in Canada. But go to africandiasporanews.org/Canada, africandiasporanews.org/Canada to get your tickets, please, and thank you. Donovan, what say you?
What say me is welcome again, you guys. It is finally raining here in Southern California. We need the rain. It's kind of cold, but again, tomorrow it's going to warm up and we get back to regular scheduled programming. But it's 3 o'clock here. So if it's 3 o'clock here, that means it is Demetra K time, and we are glad to be here. Real quick, it's absolutely free. Please, please, please hit that like button on your way in. And if you guys have get your medicine, gotta get your piece of chicken, gotta go cook, hit that like button on the way out as well. It's absolutely free. We really, really do appreciate it. But do us a favor, if you guys want to continue to have these great conversations, and this is going to be a great conversation, so I suggest you get your popcorn. We have a way that you can help contribute to the show. If you look at that scrolling banner at the bottom, it says please donate, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. For all of you guys that have been longtime supporters and co-hosts that have been supporting the show, trust me, Demetra and I talk about it all the time. We thank you guys so much. We would not have been 8 or 9 years straight doing this without you guys' support. So we really appreciate it.
At least 10.
At least 10, yeah, at least that. So without your support, we wouldn't be here. And so don't think that we don't acknowledge that and talk about it. And some of you guys that be pointing me out. No, I'm joking, but kind of. Also, don't forget to download the African Diaspora News Channel app. You could get it on Google Play, Apple Store. Great videos, emancipation channels there. The AI, Afro AI thing is over there. Original content. I mean, that AI thing with the ladies that be talking the stuff. Oh my God, that is so good. I usually watch that. But you see great videos from Demetra K, Brother Phil, Vicky Dillard, the whole gamut of people. And I want to say this before we go. Don't forget the African Diaspora News Channel app on Google Play, Apple Store. But as you guys are scrolling your YouTube, have you guys noticed the Democratic Party is picking up, and the Republican Party are picking up the new Black media talking points and our grievances? Because the bottom line is this: the Democrats cannot win the midterms without the Black vote. So the question is this: what are you going to get for that vote? If you're going to vote for Democrat, and we're not here to tell you how to vote, but the question is, if you give the Democrats the power back, what are you going to get? I say, if they don't give me what I want, let chaos reign. So this is going to be a great conversation.
All righty then, and hello again, again to everybody. So happy that you're here. All right, so there's so much going on in the world. And this happened to pop up as I've seen a lot of people talk about it. And it's funny because I already knew she was going to be speaking. And I think she spoke Friday or something like that. And I tried to watch it Friday night, but I fell asleep. I was like, I'll catch her later. Then I saw, people posting, little snippets and stuff. And this particular one that I'm about to show you is one that's making all of the rounds regarding, and I'll let you guys see it. But basically, she was, I guess, the kind of the keynote speaker at the National Action Network annual convention that is founded by that of Reverend Al Sharpton. They have been around for 35 years, and they had a whole host of people there. I mean, you name it. They had Cory Booker. They had Josh Shapiro, who was the governor of Pennsylvania. You name it. Governor Pritzker. They had everybody you can think of. They had a youth night or youth day or whatever. It was very interesting, I would say the least. But during her conversation with Reverend Al, which wasn't that long, maybe about 40 minutes or so, she talked about things like foreign policy. He asked her her opinion about what's going on with President Donald Trump and his administration with the war in Iran. And she basically just kind of reiterated some of the things that she said on the campaign trail that, she knew he would do it. And she talked about NATO and him basically destroying that alliance that has been there since 1949. She also talked about the service people that have lost their lives and the countless hundreds, if you will, that have been injured just in this war in Iran. Talked about the cuts to healthcare and WIC and a whole host of other things that Trump, Elon, and all of them have gotten rid of. She said that once he's gone, his cronies would need to be dealt with. The members of Congress who just pretty much giving him a blank check to do whatever he wants. They do not stop him. She talked about the Supreme Court, in a sense, kind of being a rubber stamp. She also said that when he is gone, they will have to figure out how to undo some of the things that he's done. She says she thinks that it'll take a couple of election cycles to actually do that. She specifically cited that of USAID and the relationship with other countries that depend on the United States. How when he and Elon Musk, who was at the head of Doge, I don't see Elon, by the way, because I blocked him, how they went in there and they cut a lot of aid to different countries, citing, they finding fraud and a whole host of other things. But she says that that actually opened the door for other countries to come in and fill the void, like China, especially on the continent, which is true, right? And then she was asked about banning social media, and then she went to how in Australia they have banned social media for children at a certain age. But she talked about big tech as a big issue and how eventually it's going to be the consumer that's going to have to take it back because the government is not going to regulate big tech like AI and things like that. Especially, she said that Trump's people that are in big tech, like the CEOs, they are in his pocket. So it's going to be up to the consumer. She also talked about voting rights. So she was asked about it rather, and they talked about the SAVE Act, with the IDs, the passports, and, all of that, the mail-in ballots. And then she went on to say this as her final point about asking for something for your vote. But she said something that as I was watching the whole answer of her saying that about the transactional vote, I said, oh, really? Because I haven't seen a lot of people talk about it, but it just kind of caught me as I watched it. So here we go.
I would say on this, Rev, and I think I know it's a bit controversial, but here's how I feel about this. You know how I was talking earlier about how people are so transactional? I think we need to be transactional voters. I think, yes, it is right when we are trying to get folks to register to vote and to go vote, and it is absolutely right that we remind everyone of our history, especially when they're trying to erase it. We remind people of the lives, the bloodshed on the Edmund Pettus Bridge, the sacrifice of those young people at the lunch counter, the assassination of Dr. King. There are so many things that we must remember about history so that what compels us to vote includes not only our civic duty, but honoring the ancestors. Yes, and here's what I'm suggesting in addition. Get yours. Vote and say, I'm voting because I expect something out of this. You're not going to take for granted that I'm going to vote because I'm a good citizen and it's my civic duty to vote, so that you don't even worry about whether you're producing what I need because, we can count on them to vote because they remember the Edmund Pettus Bridge. I'm saying It's okay to also give people permission to be transactional. And to say, if you're going to get my vote, this is what I expect. I'm going to vote because I expect to get something out of this. I'm going to get mine by voting. That's what I would offer. I think it's okay to give people permission to be transactional voters.
A couple of things there. Al Sharpton was like, really? But she said something right at the beginning. She says, I know this is going to be a bit controversial, okay? And when I heard her say that, I said, well, do tell Kamala, because it sounds like you're telling a little bit, right? Because we know just by not that we heard it, but we've heard like some of the shills and things say it, but we know that that has not been popular, right? Get something for your vote. Now, let's do a little bit of deductive reasoning here. Who is she talking to? Because she didn't necessarily say Black Americans, but she was there with a room full of Black people. Maybe not Black Americans, but Black people, as it is the National Action Network that's supposed to be for Black folks, right? So we know that. Okay, she was there with Black people. And again, she said it's controversial. It's like, why, Kamala? Are you, is it a slip of the Freudian tongue that you're saying that is controversial? Because have you been told that we cannot talk about give them something for the vote? Because what is the nature of the Black voter? We show up no matter what, right? We vote blue no matter who. There might be a fish fry. There might be some no voting, no vucking. There might be some strolling to the polling, but you ain't really going to get much more than that, right? And they don't expect to get anything more than that, right? They're just, because we're the Democrats are the party of Black people. Now, let's not kid ourselves, okay? Reparations is not a new ask. Okay, it has been an ask since our people left the plantations, but we have been asking, especially more so, it's a renewed ask, I don't know, last 8-10 years, give or take, right? So they have been hearing us say, hey, no reparations, no vote. Now, the last couple of, election cycles is falling on deaf ears. We could go somewhere like Barack Obama, who was the first Black president. A lot of us voted because we thought, oh, surely here's an opportunity to get it. And he was like, psych, you ain't getting reparations for me. I'm afraid of what white people would think. But guess what? You got a little shoulder shimmy as I was singing Al Green. That's all you really want, right? So we know without really hearing, except for right now, that you can't gin up the mob with these Black folks and tell them that you can expect something for your vote. But again, we have been having that conversation. You've been hearing people say we're sitting on the couch. We, no reparation, no vote. What's in it for me? And if you like me, right, I came up with it with but what's in it for Black Americans? We've been like ringing the alarm on, listen, we're not showing up. And we've started to see that in a lot of elections, especially with hers. Did most Black voters show up for her? Yes. Did a lot like in the past, like for Hillary, Biden, and Obama? No. Okay. So she said the quiet part out loud. As I said, she snitched because I truly think she did. Another thing she said, she says, I think we need to give people permission to be transactional. So when I hear her say that, it's like, oh, do tell Kamala. Because have y'all been making Black Americans think there's something wrong with us to ask for reparations? We've heard all of the shields talking about why they want reparations, or they're never gonna get it, and all this other stuff, right? Or what else have we been hearing? Oh, well, reparations is more than just money. Reparations is, education, or it's this, or it's that, it's housing. But we know that stuff is usually for everybody, right? And so with that, Kamala, who was a Democrat, and all the other Democrats, they're starting to have these conversations like, yo, we're going to continue to lose the Black vote because, for one, pat yourself on the back, especially if you're new Black media or you're ones that's been spreading the message that, hey, we can't keep voting for nothing, right? They know we're having these conversations and we're not going to stop having them. They also know that we're waking up people and that, do you see what your vote is doing to Black America? You are becoming more and more and more of an underclass, as Dr. Claude Anderson told us so many years ago. You're also voting to be replaced by illegal immigration and a whole host of other things, all while being told, no, you cannot get reparations. Now, this is the 180 from this.
Policy that will benefit Black people will benefit all of society. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about that. So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit Black people. No.
A complete turnaround. Okay, because that was in 2019 when Kamala Harris was running to be the president of the United States, and she had an interview with the Griot, and they asked her about reparations, and that was her answer. Like hell to the no. You Negroes aren't getting reparations. By the way, I'm having a storm here, but luckily I got my little generator on. Hopefully it holds. But nevertheless, she's like, you guys ain't getting nothing. You better show up to vote like everybody else has showed up to vote. But here we are, 2026. Now, also at the end of that conversation that she had with Al Sharpton, she was asked, will you be running in 2028? And she pretty much said, well, I'm strongly considering it, right? She didn't say, no, I got other things to do. She kind of danced around and she says, yeah, I'm definitely considering. So to me, that sounds like she will be running, and she is studying or reading rather the tea leaves. What's in the tea leaves? Okay. They did not show up for me like they did all the other Democrats that ran. And I heard them, even though I never acknowledged. You guys got to remember, Kamala never acknowledged reparations at all when she was running the last time. The only thing she did was the Black man plan that was actually for everybody else too, but they had to twist her arm. So with that, she heard that Black Americans, especially Black men, were like, I'd rather have a V8. So she's starting early. She's starting early. Now, will she actually do something? I don't know, right? It remains to be seen. But she's starting early. And she's not only letting everybody else know, but she's letting anybody else who runs for Democrat know that, hey, it ain't looking good for you, whether you Gavin, whether you her, or whoever else may be on the ticket or running to be a Democrat. This ain't looking good for you because you need Black Americans to show up. So I'm going to say this to y'all. Pat yourself on the back. Pat yourself on the back. Give yourself a hand clap, because this is what happens when you stand on business, when you shut out the naysayers and say, you guys, you guys, that's what happens when you say, you know what? Like our ancestors say, we shall overcome. I will not be turned around with saying. We will not be turned around. We're not going to be quiet, because gone are the days that we sit up here and we go in the booth and say, well, our ancestors died for the right. No, they died for us to get something for that vote. And that's what we're standing on. So for all of y'all who are disinvited from the, Thanksgiving, and excommunicated from your families, and you were told that you were a raccoon and all this. So how could you do this to us? You know what? Standing on business pays off, right? So I'm going to let you leave it there. I'm going to let Donovan have at it, but pat yourself on the back, because now we know for a fact that the Democrats have heard us, and now they have no choice. So pat yourself on the back, for real, for real.
I mean, A+ on that opening monologue, and the facts that you dropped. It is no doubt that the Democrats, and it's not just Kamala, they have already seen they cannot win these elections without their base. Who is the Democratic base? It's the Black voter. When you come out with 90% of a voting block right out the get-go, you have a really good chance of winning, because all the other groups are 60-40, 50-50, such and such and such. But if you got one group of people in America that is your base, you can't ignore your base and expect to win. You just can't. Now, as they're trying to replace us, because this is my opinion, there is no doubt in my mind, the plan was to bring these illegals in here to replace Black voters. That is the plan, without a doubt. But what the Democrats don't understand is, when you bring a group of people who come from other countries where the politics is based on a little corruption as normalized, they have no loyalty to any particular vote. Thus, when you go to the Cubans pretty much voted 60-40. Most Latinos overall, Latinos, Puerto Rican, Mexican, whatever you want to call them, and their diaspora, they are about a 60-40 split. The white person is about a 50-50 split. See, so that's where it backfired, because again, also Latinos are conservative because a lot of them are of the Catholic faith. So they are really conservative. And so that plan kind of a little bit backfired on them. But I want you guys to pay attention to this. Did you guys notice, of all of the people you are going to send to represent this action network, you're going to send Kamala Harris and Cory Booker. Cory Booker is one of the biggest recipients of AIPAC money. Kamala Harris receives AIPAC money as well, but not as much. But sending Kamala Harris to talk to Democratic voters is like asking somebody who never wins the Super Bowl how to win the Super Bowl. It's like going to the Buffalo Bills, who were in the Super Bowl 4 consecutive times, and saying, hey, you guys were there 4 consecutive times. How do you win the Super Bowl? They never won it, but you're going to them. So in my mind, there's no doubt that Kamala Harris is going to run. But see, she's drinking her own Kool-Aid. And I'm going to say this, because one of the biggest problems that she has that is around her neck is the genocide in Gaza under the Biden administration, to which she was a part of. A lot of Democratic strategists do not want her to run because it opens up that can of worms to where you've got a lot of young people that ain't with the genocide that was going on. And that did cost her some votes in the election. And you also got to remember, billions of taxpayer dollars went to Ukraine to defend against Russia. So a lot of that money was going on without that. And just, while people are suffering and going through recovery from the pandemic. So Gavin Newsom running for president, he has a big problem in the shenanigans he pulled here in California reparations. And I saw on the African Diaspora News Channel app, Brother Phil talking about that. Nobody is going to forget the shenanigans Gavin Newsom produced with the California reparations issue here in California with the Black Assembly. Nobody's going to forget that. Okay. And of course, you guys have heard of the big scandal here in California where billions of dollars have been stolen under Gavin Newsom's watch. And he was notified just like Tim Walz. And I want you guys to think about that. I'm funny that I bring up Tim Walz. Wasn't Tim Walz the very person that ran and Kamala picked as the VP? And he's up in scandal right now. So we got to be very careful of who, and I'm not here to tell you who you should vote for, whatever, but what I'm telling you is this, knowing what I know. And I've been, I think, 4-0 so far since 2020. I've been 4-0, undefeated. Kamala is problematic. She dropped out of the primary and she's going to be embarrassed. And this is what I believe. She's going to be embarrassed. She dropped out of the primary in 2019. She did not have a primary. She was appointed, which again goes against democracy. I don't know. People keep saying, democracy's at stake when the Democrats don't practice democracy. She was appointed to the position and ran and lost not 20 billion, almost $1.5 billion. Now notice she was being interviewed by a person she gave $500 million to give her a softball interview. Now, people can change. I get all that. But the question is, they're going to say the right things they need to say. I have said politicians, Republican or Democrat, are professional liars. They're going to say what they got to say to get into the office. What did Joe Biden say in 2020? Please repeat that. He said, if you give me the Senate in Georgia and give me that election in Georgia, which will give me the Senate and the House, I will get a George Floyd bill on the floor and a federal crime task force thing, Justice Act, or whatever the deal is. We did that. And no sooner did he win the election, did he sit down with so-called black leaders and said, we can't do it. Everything I promised, it's not the time. It's never the time when it comes to black people. But off of that very same vote, the Asians got a protection bill. The Ukrainians got a bunch of money. Afghans and Ukrainians, got funded. And of course, Ukrainians are keeping a low profile. All of this stuff happened for everybody else. And nothing happened for black people. So I'm going to say this. Show us up front what you're going to do. They have the power to do what they want to do right now. No, they don't have the executive pen. We all know that. But we're talking at the grassroots level. If the Democrats are real about what they're saying, if they are real about what they're saying at the state levels, Democratic houses, a good example, also at this convention, Governor Westmore, the black Scatman Crothers, he is at this convention and he is highly unpopular in regards to what he's saying being, the BS that he's doing down there in Maryland that he's doing. If they actually believe what they're doing, and I bring up Westmore for the simple fact that his veto of a reparations bill in he's Baltimore, right? Yeah, Baltimore. No, Maryland. He's Maryland. The veto bill he did in Maryland was overridden by his assembly. So be very cautious to what these national Democrats are trying to tell you. Show and prove. If they really mean what they say, show us what you mean. You're funding the migrants right now. Again, I tell you guys, watch Chicago, watch New York, watch Maryland, start watching Houston, watch Dallas, where there's a big enclave of black people. Watch what is going on in those enclaves to what the Democrats are doing, because that's a Democratic state. If they're not doing what they need to do, I think we might want to hold our vote and let the other party or whatever, let the chaos reign. That's what I say.
Yeah, there's a lot of very interesting things. And hello to everybody that's come on. A lot of interesting things that are transpiring there in California. They say that it might be 2 Republicans at the top of the ticket running for governor. Just the way the system is set up, it doesn't have to be a Democrat or a Republican. It might be 2 Republicans. And I tell you, one of them is very MAGA, Chad Bianco, who is the sheriff there. He's big time MAGA. But you know what? The more you look at the dynamics of California, I think California is going to have to swing red. I mean, California is completely just gone. If you have not checked out my show that I did on the African Diaspora News Channel on Thursday, I outlined a lot of the things that are going on there with the Democrats, right? The things that they want to do. One of the latest things that they're trying to do is use taxpayers' funds to pay for legal service for illegal immigrants. And that is done by Assembly Member Mia Bonta, who is married to, is it Ron Bonta? One of them, he's the Attorney General for California. But nevertheless, she sits on the California Legislative Black Caucus. She was also there when they sabotaged reparations for Black Californians during that whole little study they had since 2020, along with Assemblyman Isaac Bryan, Lori Wilson, and a whole lot of them. She was there, but she is fighting tooth and nail to dig into the coffers of taxpayers' money, by the way, to pay for lawyers for illegal immigrants. That's just some of the stuff that they're trying to do, right? And so when you hear Kamala say things like, well, it's got to be transactional, we also have to ask, transactional for who, sis? Right? Because everybody else who hadn't even really been asking have been getting things. Now, the ones that have been asking the most, hell, civil rights wasn't made for nobody else but Black Americans when it came about, right? But we know that everybody and their mama has used civil rights and they have benefited from us. Now, some will say, well, Black Americans have, but it's like, have we benefited specifically? Again, this was for us. Thinking about something like the Birthrights Act, right? The 14th Amendment, that's right now at the Supreme Court, that is being argued over, or decided rather, by the Supreme Court. It was argued not too long ago, but they're going to make a decision in June. That was originally for us. As Trump said, the babies of slaves, and everybody and their mama has come over here and benefited from that. Right now, I won't use the term, although I know that it's a legal term, and I use it once just for educational purposes as anchor babies, right? But we saw, and if you haven't seen it, Akon, the rapper, or whatever he is, right? He admitted that his father, I want to say, had 40 children or something like that, and all of them were born here. But then they went back to wherever he's from, right? They went, I think, Sierra Leone, y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but they went back. But he said that my father made sure that we were born here, right? So we can become citizens. So daddy ain't a citizen, but so it's like you make sure they're born here. And you think about somebody like Akon, who has made a copious amount of money on Black American culture, and he takes it back to the continent. Nothing wrong with that, but just thinking about how he's able to do it. So again, that's not the Republicans, and I'm not a Republican, right? I'm nonpartisan, but the Republicans ain't arguing for everybody to use the birthright citizenship to come over here. Now, listen, Trump is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, right? I'd be remiss if I didn't admit he got something going on, but he be right sometimes. As they say, a broken clock is right at least twice. Well, like he said, how much sense does it make that people can come over here, have children, get all the resources, right? And you think about the first Black president, but Obama, he signed in DACA. That is for the children of illegal immigrants, people who came over here illegally, had babies, and giving them the right to stay to get Social Security numbers and a whole host of other things. They could go to school, and they used to, I don't know if they can, if it's changed, but, get these student loans and grants and all.
They get a special loan. They're in a special category, and their children become citizens while they're here.
No, not really. They're not citizens. They have to go and renew every 2 years, so they don't have full citizenship yet.
No. What I'm saying is the DACA kids that are classified as DACA, when they have children because of the 14th Amendment, birthright citizenship, their children become citizens.
Right. So I don't know about all of that, but I'm saying the children, the DACA recipients, rather, they have to renew every 2 years or whatever it is. It has actually expired in February. And so that is the argument as well. Trump and them was like, nah, we're going to let that expire, because if you think about the crux of it, your parents came over here and broke the law. They broke the law, and you have been rewarded with staying here and a whole host of other things. So again, going back to Kamala, I think they've always heard, and not just because we've been talking about it, but for years, right? Even with Dr. Claude Anderson and all of them. I remember my mom and them was talking about reparations and signing these petitions. I remember all the way back then. So they've always heard these things. But see, now we become a force to be reckoned with. Okay. Now, of course, we know we have the shields like your Rollins and all these other cats. Oh, don't listen to them. Well, guess what, homie? They listening to us, right? And your Rollins and your Rickies and your DLs and all these other people, they're the ones that's fighting to keep people on the plantation. And I say this, if we get one person off the plantation, we have done our job, right? Because they're trying very hard to keep Black folks brainwashed. We are the only group of people that should not and cannot expect anything for our vote. We just got to show up because our ancestors. We just got to show up just because they the Democrats and the Republicans. Yes, are the Republicans douchebags? Absolutely 100%. But we don't vote for the Republicans like we do the Democrats. We vote, if you think about Trump, to the tune of 18, maybe 20% of Black people voted for Trump. And he got the most Black vote in modern day history for president. Okay. So that was rare. But I'm saying we vote more so for the Democrats, who do more so for everybody else but Black folks. And we are the only group of people that are guilted into not wanting to do that. Case in point, look how they doing Chili. She's a singer. She's not a politician. Nick Cannon, he's an entertainer. He's not a politician. But you run around talking about canceling these people, but you let the Democrats make it. See, that's why as a Black woman, I've been there for almost 55 years tomorrow, okay? I could say this. That's why it's hard sometimes for me to take the sisterhood seriously, because the sisterhood, you'll cancel everybody but the party that keeps kicking you in your tailbone, even though they tell you the backbone, but you ain't got nothing at all to show for voting for the Democrats, for strolling to the polls and all this other stuff. But you won't cancel people because they voted the way they wanted to vote. Y'all run around talking about democracy is in danger, but you the one that's endangering it. You should be quiet.
How's democracy in danger when you appointed didn't give the people even a chance to vote on a presidential candidate? How is democracy in danger when you didn't even do that? That's the basic thing you can do as a tenant, to give the people the choice. You didn't give the people the choice at all. And because you didn't give the people the choice, look how badly that candidate was. And if you guys really think about this, and this is a short rebuttal, if you look at the mediocre Black leadership that is elected or appointed and pastoral in these churches, it tells you all you need to know. Demetria, last night, I was just watching a whole segment on YouTube about Fulton County. Fannie Willis just appointed a judge that was going to be removed as a judge off of the bench before she resigned as a prosecutor. They keep hiring their friends and people that are not qualified. This is what's going on in Fulton County. The one mayor, Kobe, that one guy, the mediocrity of Black leadership. I'm not saying these people have to be super stellar, but where's the integrity? Where are the Black leaders that are actually standing for the people? And before we came on the show, Demetria and I were talking about a young man that asked a question at the National Action Network conference. And he stood on business. So I don't know if Demetria wants to go a little bit more into it, but we need more people, young people like that guy, and just people in general that are going to say it the way it is. Simple, plain, and make it plain. It's just how it has to be at this point.
Yeah, and I'll get into that a little bit more. I might we might talk about it tomorrow. I plan to do that. But Nirvana, how you doing? Hope that you are doing well. Look like you mix your Beyonce or something like that. But you said, where's Trump's convention discussing reparations and new laws they're passing for FBAs? Listen, I don't care what Trump's convention is. I don't care what Al Sharpton's convention is, because there's a whole bunch of people sitting around talking, bumping their gums about this, that, and the other. We shall overcome or whatever. But you know what, though? Trump right now is the party of the Republicans. He used to be a lifelong Democrat, believe it or not, but see, y'all don't want to claim him, right? Because he said it himself. Basically, he's saying people are so stupid, I can run for Republican and I'll win. And he did just that. But see, with that, we don't vote for the Republicans like we do the Democrats. So should we be expecting something from something that we don't vote for? That's stupid, right? I'm not going to bite my tongue no more. It's stupid. It's dumb, it's asinine, it's crass to expect something from a party that we do not vote for the most, right? Like, Nirvana, I don't know who you are behind this Beyonce thing or whatever, but I'm hoping that you're not as silly as you portray to be, because thinking like logically, now, and this may be coming from an emotional standpoint from you, but logically speaking says, I'm going to put the feet to the fire of the thing that I do for the most. I'm not going to hold my neighbor accountable. My neighbor don't do nothing for me. I'm going to hold whoever's in my household that I rely on. I do something for. I'm going to expect something from them. I'm not going to expect something from my neighbor across the street. Why would I hold Trump accountable when the Democrats come with, fish in hand, talking about here's this funky fish, and I want you to vote for me, James Clyburn, who has been in office since forever, right? Since Methuselah was a baby and has done nothing for Black Americans. And he got the nerve. They got the Geritol nerve. See, this is what I want y'all Democrats to stand on business about. He got the nerve to run again. His daughter was supposed to run, and he said, listen, baby, I'm going to run. His daughter should be, hell, she probably too old at this point. But y'all mad at people who are saying, I no longer want to vote for nothing. And you want to do what? Guilt us back onto the plantation? No. Like in Kamala, remember when Kamala said, I'm not going to do nothing specifically for Black people? No. Well, that's what I'm saying with my whole chest, okay? Trump does not do for Black folks, neither does the Republicans, the Democrats, but he don't necessarily say that he is. His party, it's the Democrats that if all of Black Americans decided we were not going to vote anymore, the Democrats' ass would be grass. I hope that was more layman for you.
Yeah, I wouldn't really acknowledge Nirvana anymore. She's a paid troll. I did research her last.
I'm going to acknowledge Nirvana and everybody like him because it's people like Nirvana who will go spread, and Audrey too. I see Audrey up in here. They'll go and spread this foolishness and to everybody else who does not have the wherewithal to think for themselves because they think they're saying something. So no, they're gonna get acknowledged every time unless they're real foolish, because this is the stuff that I know a lot of people don't like to acknowledge the trolls. I like to acknowledge them because there's a lot of other people who think like them, and until they get new information, they're going to keep on thumbing in the comment section.
Yeah. And I just want to add to that. Why would we even talk about Republicans? Republicans do not ask us for our vote. Their whole strategy is not based on the Black vote. They can win elections without the Black vote. That's the difference. So common sense tells you, Nirvana and everybody else, why would you even bother to acknowledge a party or a person that doesn't come to you for anything? But the Democrats come to me every 2 or 4 years asking me for my vote. That's who I'm going to acknowledge.
And to me, I'm like, I don't know, everybody don't think the same. I just kind of been like common sense. And I like to go with common sense because, as my mom used to say, common sense ain't so common, right? It's logical. But again, a lot of our people are in these churches, on the Democratic plantation out of emotion. They play some good old music and they holler and scream, don't really say much of nothing, and they feel like there's an allegiance there, right? I see a whole bunch of people crashing out about Trump and all this other stuff, and I'm like, you was a big grown man. A lot of these dudes, big grown men, you crying, you scared. And I'm like, boy, I tell you, I'd be like the Mojave Desert if I was your woman, but I've said too much. Hey, Bill, how you doing? Says delineations and separation is the only way for us to get anything. We can't count on no one but ourselves. Happy birthday. They need us more than we need them. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, we just have to let them know. I'm not signing up for no more of that. No, thank you. I can make my own fish. I don't need that. It's probably, like I said, not even a good fish, the tilapia or whatever it is. But we got to just let them know, I'm not going to be guilty. See, like I said, pat yourself on the back. For those of y'all who withstood all of the foolishness from people trying to, you Black, anybody Black, we need to, how could a Black person, Yeah, if you stood 10 toes down against that, I'm telling you, it pays off. It pays off to stand in truth. The truth of the matter is you should not be voting for something that is not for you. And you keep on speaking and you keep on talking, because whether Kamala will actually do anything or not, if she gets in the office, which is probably a long shot, I don't know. It really remains to be seen. But I think she's also, and that I'm pretty sure they're having these conversations behind closed doors. Hey, you know what? Them Black Americans, they're not going back in the box, right? They're not. They're not. They're out. They're speaking out loud, and we can cancel 1 or 2 or 3, but there's more now, right? So we're going to have to concede what they want. It's going to happen. It's not if, it's when. But the other thing too is, y'all, we got to practice group economics. We got to start doing for self. See, we got a lot of things we have to continue to do. We can't just keep saying, hey, you got to give us reparations, not going to vote, but we got to do the other work on the other end. And then they'll say, hey, those Black Americans, which we've been trying to keep down for so long because they're a threat, their unity is a threat, to America. As the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, Black unity is like an atomic bomb. It's more powerful rather than an atomic bomb. They know all of that. But the minute we start saying, okay, well, we're going to organize anyway, It'll come faster, but this is definitely a great sign that they have been listening and they cannot ignore it anymore. But she said the quiet part out loud. I know this is controversial, Rev, but I'm going to say it anyway. Yes. Let's see. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. You know what I'm saying? John says, speaking of reparations, President Obama has super majority for his first 2 years in both houses of Congress. How come reparations wasn't handled then? Well, because they tied his hands. What do you expect for him to do? But see, they know most people won't say, hey, no, but yeah, the first 2 years he had them. He could have done anything he wanted, right? But they'll go to, Mitch McConnell and them, they tied his hands and he wouldn't let him do, it's like, stop it. Because he did a lot of other stuff for everybody else but Black Americans.
Yeah, there's actual video of him saying, that isn't how government works. You can't do specific things for a specific group. And Kamala kind of alleges that too. But he's telling Black people what he can't do for Black people, but he did for the Native Indians. He did it for the Holocaust victims. He did it for DACA. He did all the Asians. He did it for everybody else. And see, we keep falling for that because here's the thing. You guys know I'm really big in the veterans, VA stuff and getting, veterans their health care and their disability and all that other stuff. I'm really big into that. And what I've noticed is when the VA says no to a Black veteran, the Black veteran goes away. Yeah, man. Oh, the master say no. Okay, I'm gonna go away. And the white guy keeps fighting, he keeps appealing, and he gets his. After World War II, all of those Black veterans were discouraged by the government to not use their benefits. That's why the white guys got the suburban nice houses and stuff like that. They enjoyed their benefits. But the Black community, in our community, and Demetrius has coined this phrase a lot, we appeal to the authority. If the white man says you can't get it, that's good enough for me. I'm not going to come back no more, sir. And that's one of the biggest problems we have. And again, Obama, there's nothing I can do. Once the authority says what he can't do, but yet we see with our own eyes what he's doing for other groups, why are we still giving these people our vote? Politics is about money and power. That's it. If the Democrats lose this next cycle, how much stronger do you think your vote is going to be worth in the next cycle of 2032? Think about that.
No, I wasn't talking about the Rock Man, but it might as well be. It might be, Kurt. I don't know if he's come, back to us or whatever. Hey, Jesse, how you doing? And Beverly, thank you for the super sticker. And I also want to say thank you to Cynthia for the donation. Love and appreciate you. And Angela Destiny, my condolences as from all of us about your daughter. I know that cannot be easy to lose a daughter, but as you said, she has gone back to God. So I pray for your comfort and the comfort of your family and all of that. I could not imagine, but just know that our thoughts and prayers are with you. Absolutely. Nirvana, you says, if FBA's really founded and ran the US, why do they let everyone else run it? Haven't seen an FBA president, have you? But that's gonna change, home girl, boy, bot, whatever you are. All that's gonna change, right? And they know that's gonna change. Like I said, I don't have a dog in the fight at this point. As we've been told for so many years ago, we should be voting for God, right? Vote for God. But if a man or a woman wants our vote, they're going to have to come with it, right? To me, it doesn't matter if a Republican is in power. It doesn't matter if a Democrat's in power. It really don't matter to me at all, because what's for me is for me. But if the Democrats want to continue benefiting from the Black vote as they have been for so many years, then they better come with it, because we are not playing boo-boo the fool anymore. But the good thing, I'm glad that you mentioned it, is when Black Americans get our mind right, our money right, our vote right, our community right, we're going to be running this joint, which is why there's such an effort to keep us from doing it, including from the Democratic Party, which is why they keep people like Al Sharptons and your Roland Martins and all them people as the forefront of the Black community. They call themselves Black leaders. I'm like, ain't nobody called you no Black leader. Maybe in the past, but you're not no Black leader because you haven't led us anywhere. Where have you led us to that we can say that we are glad that we're there? That is nowhere, right? So as soon as we continue to ignore those people and Black Americans really start to do for self and all that, is over. But I tell you what, if we were to go into a part of the country, put up a big giant wall, the rest of the world would not know what to do because they need Black Americans to tell them to do it. The problem is we don't do it for ourselves like we used to. Oh, but that day is coming. You just keep on waiting. I promise you.
And another thing is, you guys are talking about James Clyburn. Quit soulizing. Quit soulizing. Why y'all mess with me? Reparations? You're never gonna get it. Right? You guys keep talking about James Clyburn. If you look at the political landscape, the way that the baby boomers, and I'm going to say, and not all baby boomers, if you're not a politician, this really doesn't apply to you, but you are a voter. The way in a lot of these states, the racial gerrymandering that went on, this is going to affect the generations after us, because now the way they've done it is it's going to be detrimental to the future generations of Black people that are going to be voting and getting older, to where it's almost like you've been marginalized now. But see, the older generation politicians that did this, they don't care. The Maxine Waters doesn't care because, again, 70% of people that voted for her in her district are Latino. So as we are being gentrified out of politics, we have to notify our children and our grandchildren to what is going on because they're not paying attention. I was talking to a gentleman the other day, and we were walking down the street, and I told him, look around us. This is a white guy. Look around us. What do you see? He goes, I don't see anything. I said, that's right. That is El Tapateo. That is Ching Chong 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 Chang, whatever, and so on, so forth. That is the issue. These people are pushing us out of our own politics. I said, once they get on city council seats, these people divert resources to their people. Black people cannot afford to be in California anymore. They are economically pushing us out. They don't have to incarcerate us anymore. Oakland, which was predominantly a Black city, is bombed out. There's nothing there anymore. Parts of San Francisco is bombed out. And I want you guys to pay attention to this, because everybody is not paying attention, especially if you're not from California or you're not in the politics. Demetra, where's Kamala Harris from? Where does she domicile at?
Is she in California?
She's from California. She domiciles here. Gavin Newsom, where does he domicile at? California. These are the people that your friends and your neighbors want to lead the country. These are the people that gave the free IDs, all the stuff that raised the insurance rates of all these people that pushed some of your cousins back to Texas, back to Mississippi, back to Arkansas. These are the people you want to, these are the people that were supportive of open borders and still are being in California. These are the people that you guys or your friends and people want to be the nominee of the Democratic Party. Something to think about.
Absolutely. And Brother Easy, you said, did I hear about Marcel Dixon during the reparation discussion? I didn't know he was doing a reparation discussion, but I'm sure I'll probably see it now that you mention it. And Brother Eric, he says, so laugh out loud, what y'all basically saying is there's no reason for ADOS or BAs to vote. And I'm torn on this yet. I agree. It's about group economics for ADOS, BAs, or we're done. Yeah. So I would basically say we should definitely vote for the state and local level elections, because that's what benefits or affects us the most. Your governors, your mayors, your city councils, and, your judges, your sheriffs, those type of things we should vote for. And I say we should vote our better interest on that, because a lot of times, as I say, when your cousin is going up the river by an overzealous DA who was like, I don't care, they're guilty whether they're not, I need to get another notch on my belt. A lot of times the DA can be voted in. We just don't know that. And so when we look at the track record and be like, damn, they got a 97% conviction rate of Black folks, I might need to help vote these people out, right? Or they offer your homie a plea deal for something they didn't do because they're scared they're going to get, that big number or whatever it is. So yeah, we should vote for those things. But with all things, we should vote for what's for us, right? Keep these people who are in city councils that are in there for years and years and they're not doing anything, your neighborhood looks crazy or whatever it is, yeah, vote them out. They don't have to be black. They could be white if they're doing something for you in your neighborhood, yeah. But, oftentimes, especially on the state and local level, it's the lowest voter turnout. People they're apathetic. They don't care. They're disenfranchised. They're disappointed. So there's a lot of things going on with that, but we definitely have to show up. You know what I mean? Because as you can see, especially in California with Gavin Newsom, if he gets to the presidency, the rest of the United States is going to be like that. I'm going to say this. I know that the Republicans, especially right now, they're not illustrating what they call America first, right? They're not making America great again or any of that other stuff. But the Democrats really hate America. The Democrats really hate Americans. Look at the way they legislate for illegal immigrants, this, illegal immigrants, that.
They didn't even stand for Americans at the speech.
I hear people talk about that. I don't care if they stand or not. I see what they're trying to do in office, right? You're trying to get Californians to pay legal representation for illegal immigrants. You shouldn't even be here in the first place. But you want a Californian to dig in their pocket to pay for that. Like I said the other day on the African Diaspora News Channel, your cousin get in trouble. I know he'll get a public defender. But I'm sure these illegal immigrants ain't getting public defenders. They're probably getting the best of the best, right? You get that janky, public defender that's going to go to lunch with the prosecution right after they send you up the river, So, we really have to pay attention. Danny, how you doing? Since James Clyburn is the 2026 version of Stephen 2.0 from Django Unchained. With him being from South Carolina, he's got to be aware and cognitive of foolishness he's participating in. Well, last week I heard Al Sharpton on his show say, oh, they're not too old. They still got something left in them. You can't discount the older people. I know the younger people, but they got something to learn. It's like Maxine Waters and James Clyburn, because it was a caller that's like, hey, don't you think it's time for them to leave? And he was like, no, I think they still got something to do. And it's like, well, what have they been doing? Like, how much more time does Maxine Waters need? She been reclaiming her time and ain't did nothing else since. Carlette, what's going on with you? Says the Asians received an anti-hate crime bill when no one was hating on them. Jim Crow Joe gave them over $50 million. They are not being subjugated and oppressed. Make it make sense. Yeah, but see, they work together. You notice they got the Asian hate crime bill. They didn't get the Japanese or the Korean or the Vietnamese. They got an Asian hate crime bill because they know that they are different, but they know how to come together when it means to get something, right? So we should take notes from that. But yeah, we weren't the boogeyman, but they made us the boogeyman. The Black American is always the boogeyman, even though in a lot of those cases it wasn't Black Americans that were doing that. So yeah, definitely. Dr. J.H. Irons, how you doing? Says reparations is the fee if you want a vote for me. Come on now. Ain't nothing going on but the rent. John says if we want Black folks to take over, you need voices on both sides of the aisle because you need to get legislation passed. I totally agree. Like I said, I think we should, and we've always been told we should be independent. Nobody should assume your vote. But right now they assume that most Black voters are Democrat. And why do they assume that? They shouldn't be able to assume that, which means they're like, we ain't got to do nothing for them. Right? We got to do something for everybody else. The Latinos and, the Asians and
the Africans, everybody. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, it's about time we start standing on business. This, whether Kamala will actually do something, and whether she'll actually do something, I don't know. She probably won't, but it does my heart good to know that she has to concede that. And the rest of them have to concede that too. We cannot continue to practice benign neglect of Black Americans. It ain't gonna work, boo.
Oh, and by the way, did you guys notice she got her Southern accent during that interview? Now, my question to you, Dimitri, is do you think Maxine's going to run as a Black woman again?
Well, what would she run as? You said Maxine? Kamala. Sorry. I mean, she's always said she's a Black woman. Even, we're talking to Reverend Al, and like I said, reading her book, she's always said she's a Black woman. As I said too, to me, it's not. I personally have never really wanted to die on the hill whether she's Black or not. If she's Black, she's Black. She's not. Because the truth of the matter is, we're dying on the hill of whether she's Black, but we got people who are Black that are doing nothing for Black Americans at all. So Kamala could be green, gray, purple. It doesn't matter. If she ain't gonna do nothing for Black Americans, what difference does the color of her skin make, right?
Right. That's why I say I'm white.
Well, Angela, okay, so I'm glad that she is still with us. That she's in a mental health hospital. I've surrendered her to Father God for help because I can't do it anymore. Sorry for the misunderstanding. Thanks for your prayers. Okay, well, I'm glad that she is still here. But you know what, though? Sometimes that's the best thing that needs to happen. We all need some help sometimes, and hopefully that she can get the help. And I think we don't have enough conversations about mental wellness, especially in our community. In our community, we're told to take some Robitussin, get some ginger ale, right? Not to make light of it, but we don't really put a big emphasis on, no, you need to probably go sit down and talk to somebody. Oftentimes we're told, give it to God, which you should, right? Oh, just go to church, pray about it. Yeah, you pray about it, but then go sit down and talk to somebody. Because a lot of times, a lot of us, we just need to unpack things, whether it's trauma or we don't understand what's going on. And so I'm glad that she is getting help, and I pray that she does get the help that she needs. And, you as her mother, I get some relief because I know that is a very tormenting situation to be in. Pop! I knew you wasn't going to act right. And I will not read that, you crazy. How you doing? Hope you're doing well. Let's see who else. Jesse said... She's from Mumbai. Is crazy. Herschel says open the DMV on the weekends to make sure illegals get a license. Yeah, so they're doing a lot of things, and Black Americans are voting for that, whether you like it or not, right? Hey, Al, how you doing? It says it's inextricable for Black people to believe that reparations is important. All of that. James, how you doing? Says let's start the FBA super PAC. Yeah. I'm with all of that. We could do that. We need a candidate in office, somebody that we could get behind, and they need money. We got a whole lot of, wait, let's just take a commercial break for a second. We got a whole lot of Black folks that are running for office. Brother Billion Godson, I'm gonna have to get all their information ready. That way I could just put it up. I'm gonna have to make myself a note to do that. Brother Billion Godson, who is representing, or trying to anyway, the 55th district there in Los Angeles. He's challenging that bald-headed Isaac Bryan, who is infamously seen crossing his arms and sabotaging reparations. Brother Billion is boots on the ground, has been for many years out there in the community. He's not just out there talking and showing up to be Mr. Congeniality and kissing babies and all that. No, he's got boots on the ground. He's making sure that people have a place to stay, food to eat. And they're doing this out of their own pocket. They don't have this overinflated budget like Isaac Bryan, who has been out there for illegal immigration this last term. We've seen him do it, right? We also have Brother Tyrone Muhammad there in Illinois, who is running for Senate. He needs money. Again, I'm going to try to my best to remember to put their stuff up so that you guys can see how to support them. So I'm saying all that to say the people that we have now that are running, we should donate to them, whether it's $5 or whatever it is. They need our money. They need our help. Because it's one thing to say, hey, we need to get such and such vote for this Black person, blah, blah, blah. But you know that a lot of these people got big, giant war chests. And in that war chest is a lot of money. They could buy the signs. They could buy the commercials. And, you know, especially with our people, it is the name, you know. Oh, I've seen that poster all over. So that must mean that's a good person to vote for. Right? So it's recognition. So these people, good people, y'all don't know who Brother Tyrone Muhammad is. He's the one that threw the brick through the window, right? To defend the sisters. And the sisters is... Anyway, so yeah, they need our money. So I'm going to do my best to remember to put their information up the next time so we can support those brothers. Sister Shari, how you doing? Says, have you seen what the Mexicans are saying about the AIs? Yes, about Afro Man. Says he's getting death threats because he told the truth about LA and the things that they were doing to him. Please check it out. I hope and pray right citizenship rather means. Yes, I have seen that Afro Man. If you guys do not know who he is, he sings a song Because I Got High, very popular song, but he also sued the police department. I think it's in South Dakota or somewhere like that. They broke into his house and did a whole bunch of things, dismantled his camera. He caught all of it on tape, and he sued them. Well, they and won, and then they tried to sue him for defamation, and they lost. So he's been on this whirlwind type thing, and he's been having all these interviews. So he had an interview, I think it was called Channel 5 or something like that. And they asked him, or the guy, how do you feel about Mexicans saying the N-word? And he basically said, I don't like them saying the N-word. You know, he says that ain't cool. He says they think and I'm paraphrasing, but they down by law and they can say that, they want to be black, but it's not cool. So you have a lot of Mexicans saying that they gonna cancel him and this, that, and the other. And so I saw he went live yesterday. He's like, y'all gonna cancel me because you can't say the N-word? He says, no, well, so you wanna fight to say the N-word? Because a lot of times they say, well, we don't mean it like that. It's a term of endearment, but it's like there's a whole lot of things we couldn't call y'all, and y'all think it was a term of endearment, right? But I will say this to the credit of a lot of Chicanos, right? Especially in California, the old school, right? The triple OGs, they're like, we ain't saying all that. That's these younger fools that's running around here trying to say the N-word. They say we know better than say that. We don't say that. So it's not all of them, but yeah, a lot of them said they want to cancel Afro Man because they can't say the N-word. Lunacy. Lita, he says there's no one qualified at the local level, not for FBAs, every group for themselves by scamming. Yeah, there's some, even right. I know reparations is what we want, the ultimate, but even if it's something that's going to help us, like I said, this is my belief. Okay. I don't really necessarily like Chad Bianco, and I don't know a whole lot about the other dude that's running for governor in California. But I firmly believe that California needs to swing a little bit more to the right because the Democrats, they have lost their damn mind in California, completely have lost their mind. Okay. Karen Bass running around there, giving Angelino cards, and she's, fighting ice, and Maxine Waters, she's going to the back alleys and I'm looking for ice, and all that other stuff. It's just a lot there in California. And I think it needs to get back to maybe to the right, but to the middle. And I know there's not a lot of people that's going to like it, but like I said, I'm born and raised in California. And after a while, you ain't going to recognize California at all. For Black Americans, this is important because there is a lot of gatekeeping in California with jobs, whole host of other things. I know somebody who's been trying to get their land, different paperwork for their land certified and things like that. And every time he goes to the office and he does this, that, and the other, and then he goes back, oh, well, it's this, actually this. Oh, it's not that. I said, can I ask you a question? I said, what is the person that's telling you, you didn't do it right this time? They said Hispanic. I said, why am I not surprised? Why am I not surprised that they're giving you the runaround? And it's probably because they don't want you to have that land. Got 33 acres, mind you, 33 acres, and they keep giving them the runaround. And most of the neighbors around are Hispanic. And they have an issue with this Negro having all this acre. And so I said, yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all.
Well, Dimitri, in my city, I am at the Hispanic mayor's neck all the time because number one, he's young and stupid. And I'm going to ask you guys this. When a Black person opens up let's say a Kansas City rib thing, he wants to sell some ribs and stuff. Okay, in California, because in California, there's no freedom here. You can't walk around with a gun. You can't even have fluorescent lights. They've been outlawed. Everything's been outlawed in California that shouldn't really matter if that's what you want to do, whatever. But California, there's no freedom here, right? When somebody is selling hot food, you're supposed to have a permit to do so and, all these little things. In my city, because of the Hispanic leadership, you have people, Latinos, running around in their little tamale carts, selling hot food that you could possibly get sick in. And they've allowed this stuff, but let you be a Black person, and let's just say you set up your barbecue on a corner, they will shut you down that quick, fine you, or whatever they got to do. Do you see the difference when you let certain groups dominate a city council or dominate the staff in the city council chambers, in the department heads? In my city, all landscaping contracts went to Hispanics. Most of contracts in my city went to Hispanics, and nothing against the Latinos, Hispanics. That ain't what I'm saying. It isn't about that. But I would almost damn sure guarantee those contracting firms that got those contracts are hiring their illegal brethren from across the border. I would almost guarantee that.
Yeah, so that's just something to think about. Like I said, especially for Black Californians who want to crash out and vote for the Democrats, you're literally voting for your own demise. And like I said, I'm going to spend a lot of time talking about this. There's a million other things I can talk about, and I'll talk about some things, but I'm going to spend my time up until the midterms really talking about this because I don't get it. I mean, I guess if you're brainwashed to some degree or whatever it is, but damn. You gonna vote for your own undoing? It's crazy. It's lunacy. Like, how can you not, especially if you live in California, see what's going on around you? And then you're so damn brainwashed. Oh, whatever, Republicans, well, it's Trump. But you have nothing to say about the California Legislative Black Caucus. You have nothing to say about what Gavin Newsom is not doing for you, but doing for everybody else. You have nothing to say about your local city council, who is probably more Hispanic, and I'm not mad at them. They've just learned how to get their people in office and get what they need. That's what we're supposed to be doing. But like, at what point do you get mad enough to say, okay, I'm not going to continue to vote for that? Well, at what point do you damn, Taco Bell, McDonald's, you can't even get a job there. I got a 17-year-old nephew who's been trying like hell to get a job. And
you cannot get a job as a young person in any of these establishments.
He cannot. So at what point do you say, hey, this is California or any state, and the citizens should benefit more than anybody else, because you will not benefit in anybody else's country more, you shouldn't anyway, than the citizens. At what point do you stop being an emotional, whiny biatch? At what point do you stop doing that? Because look where emotions have gotten us. It's gotten us nowhere. But yet we see everybody getting something. They're as Dr. Clyde Anderson said, we're becoming a permanent underclass. And when he was first talking about it, he says there were two, whites and blacks. We were number 2. Now we're number 3. It's whites, Hispanics, and blacks. It was not that way before, but especially the way we vote, we've helped ourselves go lower and lower and lower till it's going to come to a point to where we're going to say, hey, what else can we do? Right? So we have to, yes, Brother Jesse, Brother Billion Godson. And let me get this comment. Brother Thunder says, and how you doing, by the way, says, if she will not do the work, look at Rachel Dolezal. She was passed as black, but let's be honest, she must have been doing something right. If they came for her, if she wasn't, she'll still be there. Rachel Dolezal, Donovan and I talked about her extensively as we did the research and stuff. Rachel Dolezal was doing the job. She was actually doing the work out of most of the NAACP presidents all throughout the United States. Rachel Dolezal was actually doing the work. So you're right. Her hating parents saw her and outed her and all that other stuff. And black folks been riding her down to the ground ever since. But it's like, damn, she was doing the work. These other ones, not so much.
Right. You want to hear something crazy, you guys? You guys want to hear something crazy? Demetra, my city, after all the warnings I've done and given, everybody 10 years ago, fighting the warehouses, the biggest corruption in FBI history happened in my city. I help expose all that and doing all that, right? I have people that come to the store that see me and recognize me, and they say, man, you were right. Man, we need to get you in office. Do you guys know I have been asked to be on the city planning commission? They want to put me on the city planning commission. And so I'm talking to the person about it, and they're like, hey, we want you on the planning commission. You'd be a good person, whatever. And I said, why would I do that? Why would I do that? You also got to be careful, because think about it. If I was one of those Negroes that just want to better myself and, and enrich my pockets with the connections and all this, I want you guys to think about this. If I accepted a position on the planning commission, could I be a community watchdog? Absolutely not, because I have information and knowledge about things that I can't talk about. So that would muzzle me as a community watchdog. But isn't it funny how 10, 15 years later, everything that I and others had said what was going to happen actually happened here. And now everybody, all the black folks that I was fighting for have been pushed out. And now they're saying, man, we need to get you in office, man. You know what the hell you were doing. Wait a minute. When I ran twice, you didn't even vote for me. Well, that was different, man. I didn't really know who you were at, and you were talking all that stuff and stuff like that. But man, you were right, man. You know what I'm saying? Now look, we ain't got this. I'm about to face eviction. I'm about to do this. Why can't we get unapologetic Black representation? We want to feel comfortable. We want to feel accommodating. We need, what is that politician? Mays, Eric Mays. We need more Eric Mays type politicians that are going to say what it is and do for the people, period. Don't let people, if you're in the politics, gaslight you and put you in a position where they can silence you. A lot of people will take the money, but I will tell you this, and I'm honest about it. One thing about me, I am an honest person, and I tell Demetra this all the time. If I'm going to shame my family and sell you guys out, it's going to cost $5 million, and I'm gone. And that's it. And I've told the developers that. I told anybody that wants to back me, if you want to put me in that position, you're going to have to give me $5 million up front. Doesn't mean I'm going to do the work when I get there. I'll just sit in the seat and do what I got to do and leave. But you see what I'm saying? But they won't do that at all. So something to think about.
Absolutely. And Brother Reggie, you say Steve Hilton is the British American guy. I knew that. I couldn't remember his name, but thank you for that. Running for California governor. Trump endorsed him. Yeah, I saw a lot of conversation, people saying, why didn't he endorse Chad Bianco, who is big time MAGA? I saw somebody said because they think he Mexican. Because his last name was Bianco. He got that big old mustache and, all of that. Yeah, Chad Bianco's a big time. He's a problem, right? Very MAGA, but yeah, he's learning that, I guess, I don't know. To me, like I said, I think a Republican probably needs to get in there because a Democrat ain't going to do nothing but continue to give away everything that's there. Darnisha, how you doing? Says they fight for each other. On cultural media, how you doing? Says exactly the same thing is happening in New York City. Somebody said Washington State. Yeah, that's where Representative Jayapal is, where she talking about she want to get illegal immigrants reparations. So yeah, these Democrats, they see what I think is going on is they really thought they were going to be able to do it when Biden was in office. He tried to do it, right? He was full speed ahead, and then age caught up to him or whatever that was. Then they thought Kamala was going to get in there. It was not going to happen, and she was going to continue on. I know a lot of people say, oh, Kamala tried to tell you Kamala was going to continue on doing what Biden was doing because she said she was. It's a fact. She said that she was. And so as a Black American, you think having Kamala in office was going to be a net positive for you. It was not. She was going to continue to dig your grave and pile the dirt so high that you would never be able to get out of. So I know a lot of people think, oh, there's a lot going on. Yes, a lot going on. But as I said, I'm glad that Trump is in office because a lot of things that are going on now, we probably wouldn't have seen unless he's in office because Kamala was going to, lull everybody back to sleep. Not just Black Americans, but a whole lot of other people, making them thinking that they're safe and they can continue doing whatever it is they were doing, whether you're Black Americans, whether you're Latino, Asians, everybody catching it. Everybody, everybody but the oligarchy is getting a kick in the tailbone, and that was not going to happen under Kamala. And I know a lot of y'all saying, oh, but Trump's got us in this war with Iran and Israel and all this other stuff. They was going to put a key in her back too. Because as I said, I read her book and she says, I will always defend Israel's right to defend themselves. So he's just the one they put the key in the back, but they was going to do it to her too. Don't you think they weren't? They weren't.
And you always got to ask yourself when it comes to the Israel question, who is she sleeping with? She's sleeping with the Zionists. So obviously the policy would have never changed.
Yeah. Lavicia, how you doing? It says news.com. I think you said Newsom. Is that what you're saying? Just allow food sales from your home. I live in Northern California, and there is a pop-up taco bar in every corner and 9 garages. Yes, and they did that, I believe, for the illegal immigrants because they could not go outside. They are allowing people to sell food out of their homes. You know what the crazy part is? That's what we used to do. Our people used to do that, sell plates and this, that, and the other, the candy lady, right? The candy house.
Frozen cups, all that stuff. They shut that down.
Yeah, we used to do that, but now they're allowing it to them to do it because of ICE and all this other stuff is going on. So y'all better pay attention. Like I said, and a lot of other places, especially where these blue these states, they up to something. I mean, why is it that you can hear a congresswoman who is Indian, who just got here in 2000 talk about we need to get reparations for illegal immigrants. It's like, the hell? I want to say something stronger, but it's Sunday. The hell? What you say? What you mean reparations for? Listen, I know a lot of y'all, not y'all, but them, okay? Have the, because that's kind of the fault of us too, especially in this space. We see things and then we stop talking about it. Okay, we're going to the next. Nah, not me, boo-boo. I'm a rack up a list of stuff I'm going to remind people of, and that's going to be on it, right? These Democrats want to give illegal immigrants reparations for trauma from ICE. When you came over, when you came over here on your own free will, didn't nobody put you on no boats and you got on the boat yourself, okay? Our people didn't get on them boats themselves. Nobody kidnapped you and brought you over here, right? You came over here on your own free will and you heard them say, Trump especially, when he was running and when he was in office the first time, he had his borders. I can't remember who it was. He stood at the border.
It was a Beauregard. He was a attorney general. Beauregard Seal. It begins with the S.
Nevertheless, he stood at the border and said, do not come over here. And you came over here anyway. When Trump was running the second time, he says, we're doing a mass deportation effort to combat what Biden did with the mass immigration effort, but yet you came over here anyway. And when he got in office, he said, you must leave, and you stayed, you hid out, and then he released the ICE agents everywhere, and they gaffled you up. And yes, you were traumatized. Now, I don't agree with how ICE was doing the job. That's just me, right? I don't agree with it, but they did it nevertheless. And then she fixed her mouth to say that there needs to be reparations for that. Our people didn't ask to get on those plantations. They didn't ask for none of that. We didn't ask for Jim Crow. We didn't ask for mass incarceration. We didn't ask for crack. We didn't ask for none of this stuff, but yet they put that on our people repeatedly, like there's always something. We ain't been traumatized. You ain't talking about reparations for us, and you didn't hear that heifer. And I wanted to say something stronger, but it's Sunday. You didn't hear her talk about no study. She said, she's right off the bat, they should get some, what? And y'all, like, listen, I'm going to get on y'all last nerve because I'm not going to stop talking. I'm one of those people, I get fixated on things, and sometimes it's to a fault, but this is going to be one of them. I'm not going to stop talking about this.
J. Paul was cut the check. No study, no nothing. When it comes to Black folks, we got to wait. Then we got to study. Oh, it's a multi-generational study. It's a multi-year study. They keep moving the goalposts for us, and we allow it. The minute any of these Democrats, if you're a Democratic supporter and they're not doing the Black agenda, why are you continuing to give them the vote? Because I'm going to say this. Do I like the chaos that's going on? I like peace in my neighborhood. People in general like peace. I'm a man of war, but I like peace. But I will say this, what the chaos that's going on isn't concentrated on my people, from what I understand. I have yet to run across Black folks in my community, in my neighborhood, that have had a problem with ICE. So, with that being said, if they want to stop the chaos, because there's never been a Black and brown coalition. That has never happened. If they want to stop the chaos, the Democrats want to stop this chaos, give us what we tell you. You work for us. Give us our money. Give us what we tell you to give us, like you give everybody else. Here's the one thing I will say about Black people, Demetra, and it is so true. We never ask for more than what everybody else is getting. If they're getting reparations, give us reparations. We're not saying give us reparations and space and this, that. We're saying give us what everybody else is giving, what you're giving everybody else. And I think that's fair. It's and again, unfortunately, the minimum you can give us is $17 trillion because that's already been estimated and done. But the fact of the matter, we're not asking any more than what anybody else is asking for. But if we don't get what we want, Black folks, why would you continue to give your vote to the party and put them back in power so that other people could be comfortable. Why? If I'm going to be uncomfortable, they're going to be uncomfortable. Remember, like the Super Bowl, or I got to use a sports analogy. You're not going to the playoffs, but you could be a spoiler. So, hey, if I'm not going to the playoffs, if I'm going home, you going home too. If I'm uncomfortable in this country, you're going to be uncomfortable in this country too.
Absolutely. And Brother Jesse, send me an email. I think you have my email. I see sometimes you send me like when you're going live, you haven't in a while, when you're going live, like you're inviting me. I'm like, you should see how I look. I'm not presentable. But send me an email when you want me to come on. I know you've been inviting me for a long time, and I will do that. We'll figure out a time to come on. Beverly, what's going on? What you said? You know what? I don't think Representative Jay Paul could be deported. She's a citizen now because she's in Congress, right? But she damn sure in Congress talking about giving reparations for illegal immigrants. I was just like, I had to really like listen to that a couple of times. I'm like, is she serious? And again, you haven't heard none of the Shields. You ain't heard none of her other, Democrats in Congress say, oh, no, we don't know what she's talking. Oh, that's heifer. No. You haven't heard them rebuke her or say any of that. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not everywhere at the same time. Only God is. But have y'all heard Roland, Ricky, DL, Al Sharpton, any of these other people? Any of the Maxine Waters, Representative Clyburn, all the bald ones, and Black. Have y'all heard any of them say what the hell is she talking about? We're not gonna give reparations. Have y'all heard them say that? Have y'all heard them say she crazy? Have you heard them call her a simple Simon, idiot, stupid, and F you? And have you seen any of them do that to her? No.
You YouTubers, good YouTubers.
Yeah, you ain't heard. It's like you fat. Funky, that's mean. Again, I'll be 55 tomorrow. I'm trying to change my ways. So today's you fat funky. You on YouTube too. What you talking about?
Hey, Dimitri, remember when he first came to YouTube and they kicked his butt off of the Action Network, and he first came to YouTube and he was talking greasy about YouTubers 10 years ago. We were like, you're on YouTube? He's with us. We were here before.
Like, hello, welcome down here in the basement with the rest of us Negroes, right? Welcome to the party. But talk about you would like, dude, you on YouTube. What are you talking about, right? But it's like, all right, we on YouTube. We know that see, this is how you know the difference, okay? Roland was safe for TV. We are not safe for TV. So one of us was telling the truth and one of us wasn't, because we know that when we are telling the truth, mainstream TV ain't gonna have us on there, right? But when you get caught cheating, allegedly, right, handing Democratic candidates the questions, allegedly, they're like, oh no, Negro, you can't be doing that, right? So yeah, us YouTubers, I guess that was supposed to hurt our feelings. It's like, well, then what are you? I swear I'm gonna be nice, y'all. One day I'm gonna be nice. Let's see. Sister Cindy says illegal immigrants here in Michigan are undercover pushing dope in our communities. Our new governor, hopefully, Representative John James, who is running to incarcerate and deport them all. Yeah, y'all heard about the heebie-jeebies that's going around there, and I think it's Chicago, Illinois for sure. But they said that some of them the HIV and some of them STDs and stuff is on the rise, and they attribute that to illegal immigration. It's like, what? Wow. Hope y'all ain't sleeping with them people. But yeah, they said that it is hot and popping, like Houston. Like, how y'all get syphilis hot and popping? It's like penicillin. And y'all got that back where it's, on the rise? It's crazy. Hey, Al, how you doing? Says we are hit up no matter who gets in. Yeah, that's why we got to do something different. Kathy, how you doing? Say I agree. If something is going on, people pay attention. Yeah, because Nirvana, he says FBA is getting on more than any group, and here you are giving us the attention. We really are that. We are him and her, aren't we? You here on a Sunday evening, afternoon, bothering Black Americans. We are that, huh? Because if we wasn't all that, would you waste your time on nobodies? Of course not. You know who we are. We're irresistible. I don't blame you. And I'm going to leave you here so you can suffer, right? You can suffer at the greatness of Black Americans that do not want to be on the Democratic plantation. Now, how do you feel about that? I mean, I wouldn't waste my time with losers. Would you waste your time with losers? Clearly not. You've been here for an hour and almost 30 minutes. So that says more about you than us.
Yeah, sounds like she's worried about the Democrats losing again.
Yeah, and like I said, whether they will or they won't, I don't know, but I'm not going to be quiet about it. I'm not. I like I said, I'm compiling a list like the fake Santa Claus. I'm making a list and I'm checking it twice. And I'm going to be talking about it all the way up until the midterm elections, whether they win or not. I think the Democrats will be successful in winning some seats or whatever it is. But, I think that we should wake up as many people as we can and say, hey, you getting them in office, this is what you're going to get. More of that kick in the tailbone that you complain about every day. Mm-hmm.
And what Black people don't realize is if the Democrats get in there, they're going to stop legislation, whatever. And basically everything's going to come to a stop. Because it's funny how a lot of my Democratic friends didn't realize the reason why the partial government stopped, and a lot of my friends work federal, is because of the Democrats. They don't even know that. They're like, what, the Democrats stopped the? Yes, that's what's going on. If the American people, Demetra, this is my biggest question. Americans rarely agree on anything as a whole. 76% or more of Americans believe in voter ID and election integrity. The only people opposed to it are Democratic and some Republican politicians. Who are they supposed to represent and listen to? If the American people are saying this is what we want, why are the Democrats opposed to what the American people want overwhelmingly? It's very rare that both Republican, independent, and Democrat citizens agree on any given subject, but they agree on this.
Like I said, and I'm not the only one that feels this. There's something going on here. Like I said, I don't think Republicans, especially right now, I don't think they like America at all. You send people off to die in a war that's not benefiting us. But then you have the Democrats who are very anti-American, very anti-Black American, but just very anti-American altogether. Every time they open their mouth, it's about an illegal immigrant. I don't care what it is. They open their mouth, it's about an illegal immigrant. And some of y'all, not y'all, okay, that's here. We up on it, right? But some of the people over there, you're not thinking, okay? I'm trying to figure out a different way. You don't think, okay? And like I said, you don't see what's going on, but these Democrats do not like Americans at all. Look at the way they talk. Look at the way they legislate. Look at the things that they're trying to get enacted, a database, so people could tell on ICE agents. Yeah, these should be able to report misconduct, which I really believe there's a way to do that. And as I said, haven't y'all noticed that there's not a lot of ICE, I'm sure ICE is still going on, but you don't hear about it the way you did a couple of months ago, where you had Democrats and people in the streets protesting and this, that, and the other. And it just kind of like just almost went away. So it's like, what happened? So again, you have the Democrats who want to die on the heel of ICE reform. Is like, well, does it need to be reformed if we don't hear about it anymore? Tom Homan went in there, especially in Minnesota, said, hey, we're going to take it down a notch, and he did. You don't hear about it no more like you used to, so what is the Democrats really doing? Why are y'all still dying on a hill that don't need to be died on no more? Right. So again, I know, hey, Mad Dog, how you doing? Arlene, what's going on with you? I know a lot of people are brainwashed for the Democrats, but I don't know. I just don't. You talk about Trump. Listen, Trump ain't for nobody but his pockets. Let's keep it a buck. Okay. Trump is for his money, his homies. That's it. Okay. But the Democrats especially, like I said, pay attention. Do they talk more about Americans, or do they talk more for illegal immigrants? Why would you vote for that? Southern Lady Brown, what's going on? It says B1 Kamala. I got to pay for receiving the $1 billion donation. They gonna wear her out. So get used to seeing her pushing BS and Obama. Yeah. Will she actually do it? I don't know. I think, she probably was there in a moment and says, hey, ask for something for your vote. Because she knows that the audience that she was speaking to, they won't. They're diehard Democrats, so they won't do it. She probably wasn't really expecting that part to go viral. But like I said, at the very least, it shows that they are paying attention, and the hard work that we have been doing, and it's hard, okay, has been paying off slowly but surely. But there's, like I said, other things we have to do, right? Practice group economics and all of that. We have with the same old stuff we've been told to do. We have to do those things, but they're definitely paying attention. Let's see, Abby Chill, thank you so much. It says these parties, quote unquote, are private entities who legally don't have to listen to us, their constituents. Yeah, they're supposed to go into office and do for the will of the people, right? The people who put them there, they're supposed to be of service. But a lot of them, and the crazy part is this, a lot of them, hear this, no kings, no kings, no kings, which Trump is trying to be a king. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan called it during his first term. He's trying to be a king, and now everybody's talking about that. But if you think about it, they're all trying to be kings and queens to some degree. How is it that you go to office, enrich yourselves, and you don't do a damn thing for your constituents? Well, most of them anyway. Isn't that a king and queen-like activity when you say, oh, I know best, I'm making all the decisions, I'm not listening to you? That's queen and king. So they're all behaving that way. None of them are going in there and really doing the bidding of the people.
Well, what I don't like, Demetria, is when people bring up Trump, right? They say, oh, he's enriching himself. What do you think Maxine Waters did all these years? How did Maxine Waters be worth over $30 million? Nancy Pelosi, who came into Congress basically broke in the 70s, is over 300 million, and she's a Bengali on the Wall Street. They all do it. What I'm saying, I'm not defending Trump, but what I'm saying is there's only one party, the ruling party. These people are playing games. The Epstein files. Did Biden release the Epstein files? Innocent or whatever children were being abused and whatever. Biden did not release the Epstein files, and he had the power to do so. Trump, Bondi, and all these people, they're not doing it. They protect each other. There was a bill to release the disciplinary records in Congress. Both parties voted to not release it to the public. So when everybody keeps on, oh, well, Trump's just enriching himself. What are the rest of them doing? 96% of Congress are millionaires. What are you guys talking about?
But see, that makes too much sense. They people, I don't know. I don't hang out with a lot of people. Anybody know me know I'm like Sasquatch, not that I look like them, but I'm rare, right? I don't hang out a lot at all. I probably won't. If you invite me somewhere, I may or may not go. It just depends, right? I just kind of always been reclusive in that. But I think now that I'm getting older, I kind of know what it is. I can't hang out with everybody. I don't like to have stupid conversations. When I say stupid, I could be silly, and most people know I'm pretty silly, stupid sometimes, but in a comical way. But I don't want to hang out with people that the stuff you say and the things that you think is just like, are you for real? Because that means that I got to work too hard to be a friend. I got to pretend to be a friend. I got to try to have these conversations. Well, why would you say that? You know damn well water is wet. Why would you say water is not wet? Yeah, I don't want to have those conversations. Right? I don't want to work that hard. But we just have to keep speaking common sense, because a lot of people are brainwashed. Well, Trump this, Trump that, Trump this, Trump that, Trump. Sound like a freaking bird. Right? But it's like you said, the people who are telling you about Trump, they doing it too. They're all doing it. They talk about, and Trump's a douchebag. Don't get me wrong. He is, right? I'm not a fan of Trump. But they talk about all this money, this, that, and the other. California is under damn investigation. $300 million or something like that for
well, there's 200 million that they indicted people, but they're saying it's estimated almost $300 billion has been stolen.
For hospice stuff and You know what I'm saying?
And we're not even talking about the rail that goes nowhere, which Dianne Feinstein's husband, when that was initially proposed, this is a sitting senator. Her husband was given a $3 billion contract out of the blue. Conflict of interest, anybody? No.
You think that's why he got beat up? Maybe somebody broke in his house and beat him up.
No, that was Pelosi. We're talking about Feinstein.
Oh, Feinstein. Yeah. You're right. You get somebody beat her. God rest her soul. I think he's gone on or something like that. Hey, Todd, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Independent are cool. How you doing? Okay, I see she came back with a different name. As like I said, you love us. I get it. Beverly says, man, maybe I should run for office and get some money. Okay, you and me both. There's going to be a chicken in every pot.
Well, Dimitri, you remember when we ran, the money was flowing in this city. They were buying votes, tripe dinners on Saturday nights and stuff like that. The money was flowing. And if you're a politician running, if you got the right developer to give you money, they were writing checks for $10,000, $20,000 local level. It shouldn't cost no more than $10,000 to run for your local city council. In my city, do you know how much it costs to run for city council and you might not win? $65,000. And it's going up every cycle.
Yeah, when you first was telling me about them rib sandwiches that people were showing up for, I was like, I know you damn lying. These people ain't showing up for no barbecue rib sandwiches, and I'll be damned if they was offering these people a barbecue sandwich. I was like, huh?
And here it is, 10 years later, the developer got what he wants. Dimitra, 10 years later, you guys, has he built one thing?
Nope. And ain't gonna build nothing because you're gonna get a barbecue sandwich and shut up. Is what you gonna do, okay? Dry. I never had one, but I was like, this can't be real life for real. Ellie says, FBA and BA, what's the difference? They're the same. One is foundational Black American and one is Black American, but the premise is Black Americans are the ones that have ancestral roots, right? Lineage to the soil, especially in regards to reparations. So it's the same. It's really divorcing the term African American, because essentially people who come from the motherland, including that of Elon Musk, is an African American. So it's just another way to delineate, saying, hey, no, this reparations ain't for African Americans, right? It's for Black Americans, or foundational, which means the people who have ties to the plantation, essentially. So yeah. Kwan, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. I see we have overstepped our boundaries with our time. It says, I truly need to hear those words right now. How about friends speak to each other? It says, Dimitri says, right now, how about friends speak to each other? I'm trying to figure out what that means, but friends, how many of us have them? I'm just playing. I have actually quite a few friends. I know a lot of people, but I don't hang out with a lot of people. I'm telling you, I'm like Sasquatch up in here. It's rare if you see me outside hanging out. If I go, so you invite me somewhere, hey, how y'all doing? And I'll chit chat for a little bit, and I'm gone. Okay, I may or may not say goodbye. I just always kind of been that way. My mom be like, "Damn, you don't never stay when you go somewhere." I'm like, "How long do I need to stay?" Right?
Yeah, you just make an appearance. You make an appearance like me. I make an appearance and I leave.
Yeah. And like I said, I know a lot of people. I have a ton of friends. I mean, yes, being this old, you would, right? But I don't like how a lot of people get down. I might hang out with you once and I see you with the foolishness. You ain't gonna see me out there again. It's like going out to dinner with somebody who be acting stupid with the waiter or waitress. And what is this? And I heard this is nasty. Oh, hell no. I'm not going back out with you, especially if you don't know how to act when we ordering food and they back there in the kitchen clinking and clanking around talking about table number 9 is acting stupid, getting the special. We won't hang out at the restaurant. We won't hang out in the box with a fox, in a house with a mouse. I will not with green eggs and ham. Sam, I am. We'll go out with you, never no more. And that's just how it's got to be. Pamela, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Bobby says, someone name one thing the Democrats have done for Black people. I'll wait. You're going to be waiting a long time. How much time you got? Cynthia says, I believe the governor, Greasy Gavin Newsom, knew about all the scams concerning the California government. I mean, how could you not? That's a lot of Skrilla to come up missing and you don't know about it. What's really going on? Now they said that some dude named Nick Shirley, I don't know who he is. He went out there and blew the whistles. Like, I don't know. He probably brought, I don't know what involvement he has, but that's what people are saying, right? And he went to Minneapolis or Minnesota and told on the Somalis and you know. But my thing is, even if he did all of that, why is he having to do it? Why aren't you doing it? 300, what you're saying, $1 billion is coming up missing and nobody misses that type of money?
And you got to remember, a lot of money laundering through the Democratic Party is going through these nonprofits. That's where they're tracking the money through. So he keeps his hands clean. A lot of this money it's federal dollars that is being channeled down to the nonprofits that are supposed to help the problem. But what they're finding is, like your former lady Lee down in Houston, she's getting her little bottle water. She's got $3.1 million allotted to her, and all she's giving out is bottled water, hand sanitizer, and a granola bar.
And they were happy to have it. All right, Miss, what's going on with you? Hope you're doing well. It was raining here not too long ago. It was glitching. The power was going in and out of crazy and stuff. But yeah, it stopped now. But we need some rain. I was listening to the webcast this morning on the Nation of Islam, as I do every morning, Sunday. And they was talking about all the droughts. They being student minister Ishmael Muhammad. I think they said 60% of the earth is going through a drought somewhere. Especially here in the United States. Texas, it rains usually a lot, but it hasn't rained that much, I would say. In the last couple of years, when it rains, but it used to seem like rain all the time. But basically, the premise is watch the weather, right? God is on the scene. God has always been on the scene, but God is like, there's nothing y'all need to do. I got it from here, right? Whether Trump was in office, whether Kamala was in office, all this was supposed to take place, right? Especially with the Trump administration, messing with Iran. Everybody said, leave Iran alone. Leave them people alone. You were told. Now, Trump crashing out everywhere on Truth Social, Twitter. Last week, he cussed them out, talking about open up the effing Hormuz Strait. That's what he calls it. Open the effing Hormuz Strait. All praises due to Allah. We're going to, obliterate, 90-something million people.
Yeah, whole civilization. And so what I really think in that situation is the Zionists really, it's just like 9/11. They talked this man up like it's going to be a cakewalk. You only need 100,000 troops or this, that, and people are going to rise. Haven't we heard this playbook before? Now, as somebody who was in the military during 9/11, when they said that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction, by the way, Iraq had nothing to do with 9/11. When they said that, anybody in the military would have told you, how could Saddam move weapons of mass destruction when we had air superiority, multi-trillion-dollar satellites, and just basic patrols over the land, but yet this man was able to move weapons of mass destruction and dig them underground? That shows you how ignorant the American people are and how naive they are to fall for such simple common sense. If they would just have applied their common sense and said, wait a minute, we have satellites that can read a cigar label all the way from space. We've got U2. We've got all these planes that are flying and watching the zones. And this man could move mass weapons of destruction and bury them. It's just crazy. And here we are again, right back to where we started. Operation Mockingbird. You get the people propagandized to support or defend or go against a certain policy, and they think it's law.
Yeah. I just think, and it's been saying more importantly, this was going to happen. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan called in 2017. He told Trump, he says, Mr. Trump, do not allow Israel to drag you into a war with Iran. If you do, America, as you know it, will not be the same. And we are seeing it's been said, the fall of America was going to take place, right? And we are seeing it right now as we speak. In every way you look, you can see America unraveling. America, the big bad bully, does not know what to do, right? They thought that they were going to drop a little kapoom and, Iran was going to say, oh, okay, we're shaky, and it was like, nah, you don't kill our supreme leader and all these little girls and all this other stuff and do the foolishness that you did, especially when we made a ceasefire agreement with you a couple of months ago, and then he backtracked at the behest of Israel, and Israel has been causing problems for people all over the Middle East, and here you come with the foolishness. Iran says we'll take all this down because the premise is if we leave, then somebody else will go on right behind us because they'll be inspired by our acts of revolution. And so they're not afraid to die for what it is. But as they said, we knew you were going to do this since 2003 when you did what you did. As you said, the Saddam Hussein with the weapons of mass destruction, which they never found. They said, we knew you were, it was a matter of time. And here you are. You can't make us open up the strait. In fact, they had a temporary ceasefire the other day. But what did Israel do? They went and they socked it to Lebanon, which was in the ceasefire agreement, and they said that it wasn't. And so Iran was like, bet, hold our beer. All bets is off. And the Strait of Hormuz is closed to you again. Okay. And so, you know, the United States stepped in it. You know, you got drunk old Pete Hegseth who's calling all these shots, quote unquote, you know, and shots at the bar, right? Shots. And somebody stepping in it. I don't think it's necessarily Pete or Trump. I think it's somebody else who is unequipped to do it. They fired all of those seasoned military generals and all this other stuff, and they just keep stepping in. It's like, okay, you think you're going to threaten these people to open up the, you know, and let you do, see what it was is hubris. They thought that since they did what they did to Venezuela, they got this man in prison, Maduro, he can't even get help or counsel due to, you know, certain sanctions and all kind of stuff. They thought they was going to do it to them because they're doing it to Cuba. Nobody talks about what they're doing to Cuba. And so they thought they were going to do it to Iran, talking about these weapons, you know, the nuclear weapons and all this other stuff. But as many have said, well, they said that they got rid of the nuclear weapons the last time. We totally obliterated it. We got rid of it. So here you are doing it again. So all of this was supposed to happen. It's supposed to bring the United States to its knees. Now, a lot of people say, oh, you're rooting for Iran. It's not necessarily that we're rooting for Iran per se. We're rooting against the bully who has been messing with any and everybody. So this is a very interesting time. Trump, he doesn't know what to do. They won't listen to him. They're holding. Let me finish. They holding all of the cards, and ain't nothing that the United States can do about it other than wave the white flag. But you know why they can't wave the white flag? Because Israel got that key in their bag. And why do they have a key in their bag? That's the question.
And that's what I was going to tell you. Both of these politicians are funded. Both sides are funded by AIPAC. And here's the thing which you guys got to understand. How can you sit there, Hakeem Jeffries and all these Democrats talk about, oh, Trump's a dictator. Oh my God, World War III. Oh my God, we're against the war. He shouldn't have done this. Are you going to fund the war? Yes. You're against the war, but you're going to vote to fund it. Make it make sense, you guys. Make it make sense. And then I know you guys are focusing on what's going on in Iran. What happened to the Ukraine war? Anybody? Does anybody know what happened to the Ukraine war? But yet, if you look at the congressional bills, billions of dollars are still being sent to Ukraine. But nobody's paying it. Do you see how Operation Mockingbird takes your attention off of one thing to move it to another while they're still funding over here? Now we have to fund Israel no matter what, but we've got to stop the war. Are we going to fund it? Either you're going to stop the war, which the Congress has the power to do. You could stop funding it, but no, they can't because they're both owned by Israel, AIPAC.
Hey, Corey, how you doing? And I see somebody saying hello to Jessica. I don't see a Jessica in here, but how you doing? Yeah, so, you know, and as far as Ukraine is concerned, and Ukraine talking about, well, we can help you, United States. Like, how are you going to help the United States when you getting help from the United States? This is all bizarre, right? We saw when Trump and Vance cussed out Vladimir, you know, when he came over here asking for money, and now he talking about, oh, we can help it. We know how to, we've been, you know, being successful against Russia, shooting down the drones. It's like, but people ain't paying attention to that. You gonna come help the United States who needed that. What? But the problem is this. You're outmatched. Iran is like, we'll be your huckleberry, boo. Anything you think you gonna do, like the foreign minister said. These little fireworks you're seeing, I'm paraphrasing, little fireworks you're seeing going, those are our toys. And then, like as you said, the Legos, they had Iranian, they are funny. But they're like, these are our toys. Y'all ain't seen nothing yet. You know, at the end of the 4th of July celebration, at first they're sitting off the shooting off the little fireworks, poo, poo, poo. And then at the end, it's like, Iran is like, oh yeah, we got that for you. And the United States ain't crazy. In fact, I think yesterday they tried to send a naval ship through the strait, and the Iranians set off a drone, and the ship was like, never mind. And I'm like, they better stop listening to Trump. Trump talking about, go ahead, you'll be okay. It's like, well, we'll go ahead if you get on the boat with us. You get on the boat with us, we'll go right through the strait. So again, with the strait being closed, it is, they said, if the war, unofficially, right? They're not officially calling a war. If all that ends today, we won't get back to right, whatever right is, until by 2028 or longer. The effects of what's going on now has put a kink in the chain for a couple of years now. So you ain't seen nothing yet.
And here's what's going to happen. Dwight Eisenhower said it many years ago. All this money that we're giving to Ukraine and fighting in this operation in Israel and Iran, this is going to be money that can't be used to help the American citizen. The money we're giving to the migrants and stuff, you, the American citizen, are paying for this. So you don't think we're going to go into a recession? Mass layoffs are happening right now, all kinds of stuff. But when you, the American citizen, needs help, you know what they're going to say? We don't have the money. We don't have the budget. But notice they could go to war with a credit card, no questions asked. No amount of money is in question. We know that they have $17 trillion that they owe in reparations minimum. If you take the military budget, which is $1 trillion, and nobody is worried about that. But where they're going to cut the money at? Social programs. Look at all of the cities and the blue states and the blue cities that are in economic situations and they have shortfalls. And how do they make up those shortfalls? Look what they did in New York. Everything's going to be free. Everything's going to be free. They went to the property homeowners and raised their property taxes. Their homes haven't increased in value, but they raised them anyway. Chicago, the same thing. Socialism doesn't work. And if you guys are one of these people that think everything is free, whatever your vocation is in life, I want you to think about this. Let's say you're a auto mechanic. Somebody brings you their car, you fix it. Don't you expect to be paid for the labor, the parts, and all of that stuff? Somebody's got to pay for this. But that person who thinks socialism is so great, the very first country that believed in socialism doesn't exist anymore. The biggest communist country in the world's economy is not even based on socialism. It's based on capitalism because it doesn't work. I don't care what your vocation is. If you're a musician, if you're a singer, you just got done singing, you expect to get paid, don't you? But see, when you have a socialist mindset, you don't get paid. Everything's supposed to be free. And that's the problem we're having, where everybody thinks that somebody's got to pay for your talent. Demetra is on this program doing this. She's doing it for her people. But at the same time, you want to be paid. You want to be compensated for your knowledge. And if you're a teacher or whatever the deal is, this is our problem, where we've got people who think there's endless amounts of money. What's going to happen is the programs that are there to help Black people, to help American citizens, but especially Black people, they're going to say, well, we can't do that program anymore. School lunches for kids, for the children. Can't do that anymore. Oh, we got to close schools because we can't fund it anymore. There's no more money for it. This is what's happening, and we're not paying attention.
Well, I'm going to have to agree with my brother. Facts, not feelings. I disagree as well, because I don't think anybody's arguing that socialism is free. I think the argument is socialism should be for the people, who are paying in, to the fund, the taxpayers. Now that's who it should be for, because we can't argue that it's not free, as much as when we can see that it's being given to everybody else. In fact, the Trump administration wants to bump the military budget up to $1.5 trillion. Okay. So yeah, they're going to cut these programs, but why you got to cut the programs for the American people to give, we know the military budget is the biggest budget there is in the United States. So you have this money, you want to cut it from the American people, but then you give money, to Israel, to Ukraine, and whoever else is getting this money, but you tell the American people where you're getting the money from. And I know a lot of it is printed and all this other stuff at this point, but you tell us, no, we don't have it. Ain't nothing free. It's not that it's free. It's that if I pay into taxes, I should benefit first. I should benefit before anybody else benefits. Socialism means that there are no homeless people on the street. There's nobody who, is going to bed hungry, especially children in America. That's what socialism means, right? Everybody eats. Right now, we have a system, and capitalism has always been built this way, where you have the haves that are eating, and the have-nots, which is the 99%, may eat or are not eating, while everybody else, when I say everybody else, it's illegal immigrants, right? Especially the Democrats, they tell us, oh, well, we don't know where we'll get the money for reparations, but you got the money for illegal immigrants. So that's what socialism means. It means, hey, we need to eat. If I look on my check and I see somebody named FICA got some money, and I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna put a tomato and a grape on the table, then yeah, I got a problem with that. So I don't have a problem with socialism. I think the way people think about it is we're simplifying it, and it's not that it's free. It's that it should be for me first before anybody else gets. I don't want to ever drive down the street in America and see people homeless, but then hear that we can't do socialism. Like, people are mad at Zoran Mandani. He's doing a lot of this, that, and the other. But what he is trying to do, for what I see, is making sure, like, the landlords are mad with him, because he's like, nah, y'all not gonna keep raising the rent on these people. The New York rent is out of the control. They're mad. I saw one dude, he owned 22 buildings, or 100 buildings or whatever, all over New York City. And he mad because Zoran said you can't keep raising the rent on these people, right? And the premise is, okay, I'm going to work. I don't get a raise like that, but you want to continue to raise the rent. At what point does it become fair for me? But then on the same time, you want to see people, different countries and illegal immigrants get money, but I'm told socialism ain't free. The hell it ain't. It should be. Hey, again, what does my tax dollars get me? If I'm seeing everybody else benefit from the tax dollars and not me, that's what socialism is. I want to eat first, not two, but first. Anyway, we're going to get out of here. Yes, Todd, $1.5 trillion is what the Trump administration wants to raise it to. So that's $500 million more. But yet I'm told that socialism sucks. Well, what do we need $500 billion more for? We said we're not at war, but we're funding all these other wars. So they're benefiting from socialism. It's free to them, quote unquote, but I can't get nothing. I can't get make sure I got a roof over my head and food on my table. But you got money for bombs, like somebody said, quoting Tupac, we got money for war, but we can't feed the poor. Yeah, well, I don't have a problem with socialism if it's done right. But I think we got to unlearn that, something for nothing. Everybody else getting something for nothing but us, right? Yeah, Albie Children. So the corporations get socialism. Walmart is one of the biggest benefactors of welfare because most of their people getting some form of welfare. And the Walmart heirs make up the combined, the heirs are wealthier than the 99%. And they're the biggest benefactor of socialism. But Gloda Dean and Melvin, they can't get a handout and they go to work every day. They pay taxes and they got to figure out how they're going to put food on the table.
No more money for you. No more money for you.
I mean, you got people who are standing up at City Hall meetings telling American citizens you can't get no more money, but I'm paying taxes and I can't get relief. But again, the way people frame it as socialism is bad. It's not bad if it's done right. I mean, it has to work for everybody. I think we're so desensitized as a society. We don't understand that working 99 jobs is not normal. It's not.
Yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying socialism is a bad thing. That isn't what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, in the context that people put it today, we live in a capitalist system. Nobody wants to work for free. That's what I'm saying. The way we're set up right now is you're not going to do anything for absolutely free. You're just not going to do it because we live in a capitalist system. Like I said, I don't see a bunch of people. The best example of a socialist society, I would say, would be Cuba. They have the best doctors. If you want to be a doctor, they will train you to be a doctor at no cost to you, whatever the agreement is that you got to do there, whatever the deal is. Castro took 80% of the Black Cubans and educated them at no expense to them. Matter of fact, Cuba is one of the most educated countries in the Western Hemisphere. A lot of people don't know this. But see, when you deal with the white Cubans, they're not going to tell you that information. They're pissed off because Castro took their land and distributed it to the Black Cubans. That's what they're not going to tell you. But again, in America, what I'm saying is nobody wants to work for free. Things have to be paid for.
And before we leave Roots Tracker, he says, when and where has socialism worked? You said, I need examples, and then you cited Cuba failed eventually. Socialism worked in Cuba. As Donovan said, when they being Fidel and Che Guevara and essentially took over from Bautista, it was the have and the have-nots. As he said, it was the white Cubans versus the darker Cubans, the rich, the poor. It was very poor. The education system was bad and all of that. But once Castro took over, they leveled, if you will, the playing field to where he says, hey, we're not going to have it where it's uber rich and it's uber poor. Now, if you talk about Cuba failing, why did Cuba fail? Because the United
Sanctions
States,
from the United States and the Western powers.
Right. So that's the other part of the story we don't tell. United States was like, if we can't bend you over with no Vaseline, then we're going to put all these sanctions and embargoes and all the stuff on you. And so in a sense, people feel like it's failed, right? They you go, I've never been. I know people who have. It's like stuck in time. But, up until Fidel passed away, he was like, we'd rather just do what we're doing here than to have the United States come and intervene. But they don't tell that side of the story, how things did improve for the Cubans. And as Donovan said, the white Cubans, the wealthier Cubans, because they have a lot of colorism, they took off to Miami, which is why Miami is the way it is now. They were mad because, well, we like this, have and a have-not system, this big giant line of demarcation where everybody else is struggling. And so they left. Which is why you see a lot of them now cheering on Trump, and Marco Rubio is one of them, right? He's a white Cuban. That's why they act the way they do. They like Trump. They want him to go over there and fix things, essentially, so they can go back and continue the tyranny that they were doing. So this socialism work in Cuba? Yes. Is it failed? Yes, especially now. But we gotta usher in what the United States has done and what they're doing right now. They have to understand they were all those people in the dark with water systems failing and all that. The United States is doing that to them. They're doing that to them because they finally want them to bend over and play ball. So it's levels to it. But socialism, done the right way, works. Well, and ask yourself, Roots Tracker. Is it working the way we have it now? Capitalism, the way we have it, is it working? How is it that you have one man who's about to be a trillionaire? Elon Musk is on his way to being a trillionaire, but then you got people on the freeway sleeping under a freeway. That's capitalism. That's not working for anybody either, but the 1%, the 99%, and a lot of that 99% who might have been, the working class, right? A lot of them becoming proletariats, the working class, where they're trying to figure out if they're going to be able to put gas in the car or put food on the table. That's capitalism. That way is not working.
But what's the end result? Because it happens over and over again. History repeats itself over and again. The people are going to get so poor to where they're going to rise up and delete the bourgeoisie. Because when the wealth gap if they're not going to address that wealth gap, there are more poor people than there are rich people. And that's what the Communist Manifesto talks about. In the first couple of chapters, the workers will rise up. And this is what's going to happen. And if you see if you're reading the tea leaves right now, a $2-3 billion election cycle, just an election cycle. This is what's going to happen. And, you know, people can't see it. If they do not address this wealth gap and people that are homeless in the streets, what do you think is going to happen? What would you do if you had to feed your family and you had no other alternative other than to steal or to do what you got to do to survive? French Revolution, what happened? Russian Revolution, what happened? The American Revolution. American Revolution was more about taxation without representation, but we're having taxation without representation right now. So that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. And I know we're over time. We're going to get out of here, y'all. I'll be back here tomorrow. Even though it is my double nickels day, I actually forgot. You know, I ain't gonna lie to you. I cried today. I was doing the dishes and I cried and I cried. And my daughter was like, "What's wrong with you?" She's on the phone with my sister and it just hit me. I was like, "Oh, my daddy ain't gonna call me for my birthday tomorrow." It just hit me like a ton of bricks. My daddy, I got so many messages from my voicemails of him. "Hey, Doc, Meech," you know, he called me a whole bunch of things. You know, called me for my birthday or whatever. I was like, "Oh, my daddy ain't gonna call you tomorrow." You know, it's just, you know, getting used to it. But anyway, so yeah. Tiffany, how you doing? Says everybody from socialist and communist countries flee to America. Yeah, but I think too, we're not having that conversation as to why, right? It's not just because it's communism and socialism or whatever. Some say the same thing. As I told you, I read this book, The Tattoo Soldier, which is a great book. I read it in college many years ago by Hector Tovar, and it talks about why. Because the United States destabilizes the government. Confessions of an Economic Hitman, which I've yet to read. I'm going to. I got a lot of books in to read, but it talks about what the United States government does in those countries. And so, again, as Donovan said, with Operation Mockingbird and the propaganda, then they come in and say, "Oh, you know, those countries, oh, they're just coming over here." But they leave off like the Somali community. That's why I hate it when most people talk about the Somali community and that they were bad people, this, that, and the other. But I'm like, how y'all leave off why they're here in the first place? That's important. It's important to mention why the Somalis are here. They didn't just put their finger on the map and say, we're going to just up and leave. Minnesota, especially as the second largest Somali community outside of East Africa, they came over here due to the destabilization of their government from the Nixon administration, right? So they were offered refugee, you know, asylum and all that to come. So it's a lot. So to say that a lot of those countries, they're leaving because of socialism, is some of that true? Yes. But I think when we really have the conversation as to why, you know, the United States, they fund these guerrilla groups, you know, and then say, "Oh, Hamas or Hezbollah," but they don't talk about the money that they gave, right? Osama bin Laden, you know. His group was funded, but they know we won't get into that. "Oh, that's horrible what they did." And what Donovan said, the Communist Manifesto, right? It's not a big book. You can listen to it on YouTube, read the book. It'll tell you why we're here, you know, and eventually the people will rise up. And we're seeing that happen as we speak. People are saying, "I'm sorry, I can't even eat the beans with my rice. Damn mistake. I don't even have the beans and rice. I can't afford it." And so people, as I don't know if y'all saw,
and they love their animals too much to cut up kitty. You know?
Oh, they will eventually. I don't know if y'all saw, Donovan. I know you did, in California, Ontario, where that Kimberly Clark warehouse burnt up. It didn't just burn up; it was over 1 million square miles of a warehouse. Y'all know what Kimberly Clark? She does a Huggy diapers and all these things. You know that warehouse burnt up, and you know why it burnt up? An employee burnt it up and filmed himself doing it. He says, "I can't afford, you don't pay us enough." He burnt that mug to the ground. So now you're starting to see the rise against the machine. That cost a lot of people jobs and money they'll probably never be able to replace. And he said, "I'm burning this down because I can't even afford it. Y'all don't pay me enough to work here." So he burnt it down.
And you guys want to hear something? I know we're going over time, but another crazy thing is the insurance companies in California. I have an older home. I had to upgrade my panel or they were going to drop my property or my home insurance. $12,000 just to upgrade my circuit breaker panel, because they think that the fires last year, a lot of the fires that started was because of the circuit breaker panels that they speculate. They won't even cover you sometimes because, again, where are you going to get this money? All of those Black families in that area that got caught all that fire, they can't even afford to rebuild. They're going to have to sell those properties because of what it's going to cost in California to rebuild. They can't afford it. They don't have enough insurance to do it, to bring it up to the code today. So, I mean, the stuff goes deep. The machine Communist Manifesto, it's real. The people are eventually going to rise up. It's just, they can't do it anymore.
Absolutely. So y'all, we're going to get out here, but I'll be back here tomorrow. Thank you. So this is sorry to hear that sis hanging there. Happy birthday. And I thank y'all for all the birthday. 55. Boy, I tell you, I was just 15 yesterday. Anyway, says I wish you great health.
That was a long yesterday.
Shut up. Wealth, mind, body, soul, finance, environment. And I wish all of that for you all as well. So anyway, I love and appreciate every last one of y'all. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Y'all have a great rest of your evening. Peace.